8:30 a.m. at the East Mezzanine of City Hall, 72 West College Avenue. For the purpose of considering the posted agenda items, this meeting is called to order. It's 8:30 a.m. Our prayer will be delivered by Reverend Aaron Milan, pastor at Bethel United Methodist Church here in San Angelo. Come on up. We're glad to have you. Right here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I was about to say, welcome to the house of the Lord. Can be saying that all the time, but let us bow our heads and ask God to be here with us. Heavenly Father, we come to you, Lord Jesus, asking that your presence be here with us, Lord Jesus, as this meeting gets in order, Lord Jesus, that it be you that is the focus, Christ, Lord our Father, in what this meeting is about. Lord, we ask that you give us the knowledge that we need on the decisions that we make, Lord Jesus. Please allow your presence to be here with us, Lord Jesus, in these conversations that we have, Lord. We ask all this, trust in your Son's precious name. Amen. Thank you.
All right, we are now open for public comment. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens who have registered for public comment prior to the start of this meeting should speak from the podium. Begin by stating their name and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items from citizens who have registered for public comment prior to the start of this meeting. Ms. Navarez, do we have any registered for public comment?
Actually, myself and Brandon. So,
all right.
So just a little information to let you know. This week we are hosting the business brown bag training in our building. And it's a really good one, so that's why I wanted to mention it to you all. It is at noon there at the Business Resource Center, and the topic is customer relations. And I'm really excited about this because this is the guy from Chick-fil-A. It's the Senior Director, Eric Samaniego, who's going to be shares the 3 pillars of customer service. So I really think that that's something that's really important, and I hope that our community participates in this.
Very good. Very good, thank you.
Nora, could you just tell us again when and what day?
Yes, it is this Thursday on the 18th. Actually, I'm sorry. Yes, September 18th. I'm sorry, not this Thursday. But at noon at the Business Resource Center in our training room. Okay.
Very good. Brandon.
And I want to introduce Holly Crooks. She is our new but not so new assistant city attorney. She had been with our office for a couple of years, left for a year, and now we're glad to have her back. I think she had even filled in at Coast DC for me a couple times. So I'm going to turn her loose on you guys. May be here a couple meetings in the future, but otherwise she'll be handling Coast DC.
We appreciate your support and your help. And Brandon, how long have you served this board?
I think it was 2020-ish, somewhere in there.
We appreciate your support and your advice as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Anything else for public comment? Just for the record, both of you broke your own rules. You did not say your name before you began your comments.
You know me.
All right. We'll now move directly to today's consent agenda, and on that consent agenda is considering approving the regular meeting minutes from August 13th, 2025 as presented by Nora Navarez. Do we have any discussion?
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion for approval and a second. Will you say aye?
Aye.
If not, will you say no, nay? And are there any abstentions? All right, it is done. Into the regular agenda, we'll move to presentation of regarding the indirect cost allocation plan process by Ryan Gaddy, Assistant Finance Director. Just take your time, Ryan.
Good morning, Good morning, Costa DC Board. My name is Ryan Gaddy. I'm the Assistant Director of Finance for the city. And this morning, I'm going to be reviewing with you the city services cost allocation plan. It's a study that's prepared annually. And, you know, the final study is pretty extensive, and today we'll be going through it page by page. No, just kidding. I'm going to give you a summary presentation. Included in your background was some information that, if you had an opportunity to review it, it gives you a pretty good overview of how the study and the process occurs each year. The city does contract with a consulting firm that specializes in preparing these indirect cost plans, and let me move forward. Let's talk briefly about kind of the objectives of the cost allocation plan. This is an excerpt from the Government Finance Officers Association Best Practices, and it talks about the objectives of a cost allocation plan. And, you know, in addition to the direct cost of providing services that the COSA DC staff provides and the other departments or the other functions provide, there are indirect costs that include shared administrative expenses, such as legal, finance, human resources, and others that are provided to support the COSA DC efforts, I guess. So what we do is an indirect cost allocation is an accounting function by which estimates are made to distribute indirect costs to programs or functions in order to approximate their full cost. So with that background, we'll go into a little more of the details. The plan is prepared each year. We consult with a firm called MGT Consulting, and they've been preparing our indirect cost plan for a number of years. They are contracted. We contract with, they have a 3-year contract with 2 1-year extensions, and we do bid that out at those different points. Typically, the plan is every year the plan is updated, and the update is started in the 4th quarter with the objective of having the plan prepared and complete so that we can include the indirect cost amounts into the budget for the following year. So the current year plan, so the fiscal year 26 plan, for an example, is based on the 25 budgeted expenditures, and it's the cost drivers or those cost drivers for that same time period for the fiscal year 25. So it's kind of the amounts that are included in the forthcoming budget are based on the amounts from the prior budget. So this is a 5-year recap or a summary of the allocations to COSA DC. And you can see on the left, these are the departments that provide services to the COSA DC operations. And, you know, as you look across, those amounts in total fluctuate primarily based on activity levels. If we have a lot of activities in COSA DC, the amounts will increase because the cost driver is activities. So you can see like fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 23, the costs were significantly higher than they are today because, quite frankly, the activities were higher. We've seen kind of a drop off in the activity that's kind of continued in the last 3 years. You can see from the chart that the primary service organizations is legal and finance, which are the 2 largest components of the cost. Now, whenever we did this, just to kind of level set the COSA DC portion, the $222,000 that is in the current year budget, the fiscal year 26 budget, that represents about 1.5% of the roughly $14 million that was allocated throughout this plan. So, in other words, 1.5% of the administrative costs for these departments is allocated to COSA DC. You know, just to kind of level set that, the water fund receives about 6%, and the sewer fund or the water reclamation fund receives about 5%. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, that kind of makes it makes it a point of reference. When we did this presentation, I think back in '22, we had the consultant go out and look at some like Midland and Odessa, because I think they prepared the plans for them as well. And at that time, the COSA DC allocation as a percent of revenue was about 3%. The Midland was about 3%, and the Odessa was about 6%. So, you know, we feel pretty comfortable that the amount that we're allocating to COSA, or that's being allocated, is pretty reasonable and fair. So, included in the background is a good summary of kind of the primary steps included in the process. And also included in the background is a summary schedule that shows, you know, how the total amount of the administrative services costs are allocated across the different funds within the city or the different departments. And that schedule looks like this. And so it shows you going down the page, the allocated, you know, the departments of costs that are being allocated, and across the page it shows the different receiving departments. And it's about 5 or 6 pages long. So the costs are, you know, distributed to all the departments across the city. So are there any questions at this point that?
Probably one for Mr. Dane, because you are an assistant city manager as well as watching over what we do. Does the drop-off from fiscal year 2023, I heard those awful words, due to lack of activity. Does that mean we're not doing our job? Or what does that indicate to you?
I don't think it's a lack of activity. I think it's more a function of the volume activity has dropped off. Now, I mean, the activity levels, you know, are a function of how much activity is brought forth to the board. And I think it's, you know, I don't think there's any set amount of activity that's appropriate, but that's kind of the basic driver and the basic reason for the decline in the, and there were some fundamental changes. Instead of allocating information technology, in '24 we started using an internal service fund for that particular category. So that caused some amount of drop off. Purchasing activity did decline, you know, in the last couple of years.
That's the one I was going to use as an example. In theory, activity levels drive this kind of thing. So if we had a lot of legal activity, we would expect to see that rise. In this case, Ryan mentioned purchasing. You can see 13, 10, 12, 15, and then it drops to about 5,500 for the last 2 years. That purchasing is allocated, is that based on POs, Ryan? Purchase orders?
POs, contracts, anything that they participate
So
with.
because we've had fewer of those in the last 2 years, that has come down. And so we would expect that to move in accordance with the kind of activity we see. If there were some large or onerous state requirement that would involve the city clerk providing us with a lot more service or using a lot more time to support us, then we would expect to see that go up. And
What about communications?
Yeah, communications is what is the services that Brian Groves provides. And before, he was he was heavily involved with producing, things that they would put on the website and so forth.
Okay.
I think a lot of that's been replaced by the work that Andy Markey does, and it's reflected more in the
Okay.
advertising expense line item. Is that fair, Nora?
It would, and also communication also includes like our telephones as well, the office phones.
Okay.
But that's an example of the kind of questions we like. We like that stir, so we gain an understanding of what's driving these costs.
Okay, I have just a broad question about this process. So, take a department. Let's say finance. Do you determine what amount could be distributed across the departments that are reimbursing the city, like COSA DC, or is it based on workload? How do you settle on?
Okay, that's a perfect question, because we took finance as an example of, because we don't have time, and we didn't want to go through the whole book on how costs are allocated. So we took finance because, it is the largest, and plus it's a good example of how a department with many activities is allocated in the plan. So if you look at finance, the costs for the department are functionalized and allocated based on these categories. So we have some general administrative activities that we perform. Of course, we prepare the budget. And in the budget, those costs are allocated based on budgeted expenditures, so that's the driver. Purchasing, those costs are allocated based on purchasing activity, the number of POs, the P card transactions and so forth. Water billing, which is utility billing, and those costs are allocated they're allocated directly to billing and receipts, and then those costs are allocated primarily to water and sewer. Employee payroll.
Yep.
Cash or treasury management. So each function has a unique method of allocating the costs. And then Development Corporation, we allocate the costs there based on kind of an assessment of our time, how much time we spend supporting COSA DC. So the next chart shows kind of, for allocating salaries and benefits, the consultant uses a table like this to determine how much time is allocated for each individual within finance.
Okay.
And so we'll use me as an example. I'm the assistant director of finance, so about 10% of my time is dedicated to general administrative type tasks, 20% to budget, about 5% to water billing, about 10% to payroll, 15% to treasury or banking and investments and debt, and then 35% to general accounting, and 5% to supporting COSA DC. And so this is the methodology that is used to allocate the salary and benefits for the department.
Okay.
And then the next step in the process is it takes those direct salaries and benefits plus any of our departmental costs like supplies, training, and things, plus any costs that are allocated to finance from like city manager's office. There's a secondary allocation for these types of costs. And so those costs are grouped and then multiplied by whatever function driver to get the amount allocated to the departments. And so for all of the departments whose costs are allocated across, a similar methodology is used. And all of that is shown in the indirect cost plan.
Okay.
So, that's pretty much how the process works. And if you have any questions, on the operating statement for both eco development and ballot, it is, I think the third largest category of expense. So it's important for, you to have a good understanding of how that amount is determined. Is there any questions?
If I could, while you're wordsmithing your question. This presentation today is a result of us adding this to the contract, the staff service, the city services contract.
Yep.
Because there were questions raised about what is that amount? How is that determined? What is it? And so this is an attempt at transparency. And this is a presentation. It doesn't have to be the end of the conversation. And we can go from there. And if you want to pick departments and bring another set of slides back, we can look at another department next time, whatever you want. Or we can meet with you on the side, whatever you want.
And we're happy to provide like a digital copy of this, if you want to walk through maybe one department.
It's very entertaining, lots of spreadsheets. It is a happy place to be.
Michael loves it. But and one thing, I do want to mention in the, it is the, if you look at the Sanangelo Code of Ordinance, it does require Costa DC to contract with the city for the provision of administrative services, so.
Yep.
Something that complements this is your direct staff, Bob and Nora, and the unfilled permanent director position are on top of that.
Right.
I want to emphasize that, that we have always been encouraged to ask questions if we have them prior to these meetings and outside the office. They don't mind talking to us about what our questions might be and clarifying those items in personal and private conversations. So don't hesitate to reach out if you feel like you need something better explained.
Additionally, this kind of conversation was at the root of the invitation for a couple of board members to come and participate and view the quarterly investment oversight committee meeting and see that part of it. It's a little deeper, a little more about investments kind of thing that you guys do on a regular basis, Matt. And Steve has been there many times as our internal auditor. And I think we got that started when we had Dr. Jones and Max was the other participant. And to be clear, I'm not sure who we have dedicated now. You should be receiving invitations. Do we have people who want to attend that quarterly meeting?
I received the invitation and
Okay.
have been going to those, yep.
All right.
This is I was just going to say, this is a really complex
It is.
and complicated process. My approach might be a little bit different. I kind of look at these items and think about the work that this board, the corporation, needs in order for these tasks to be completed, and are the costs that we're paying the city for those services reasonable? And I think overall they look pretty reasonable. Finance obviously is a big number, 138,000. But I think there are a lot of services that are provided by the finance department, including payroll processing, that it adds up. So.
Appreciate sharing this and the explanation, Ryan. This is very good. To have a complete picture, I think what's missing is on that page that had, Costa DC indirect costs from 20 through 26. Those are all the indirect or allocated costs. What's missing would be another column that would be direct costs. That was in our budget, that we, those would be actual, whether it's salaries, building expense, because we had that in the budget, what were all the direct costs? We remember seeing that. We didn't bring it with us today, but when you're looking at indirect, here's an allocation of $220,000. Here are your direct costs that we're also paying the city, or somebody's getting paid. To know that, okay, there's not a direct cost for finance, it's all handled under indirect. It would allow looking at those two. If we're paying for IT directly, that would be a standout. So it's not a full picture, and I just think, I don't know if they're in the same categories. If you just had two columns of, one column is your indirect allocation and another column is direct expenses for Costa DC, then it would give a full picture by year of what is it costing to run Costa DC, both direct and indirect, on one spreadsheet I think would be a nice thing to see. Not today, obviously, but just to help us understand the total operating cost of Costa DC and as it relates to the city's cost.
You think more than what's on the financials, the monthly financials?
Well, but they're not together.
Yeah, I think he's just saying.
I'm just saying comparative. If you get back to that one page.
And break it out break out the direct and indirect costs within our.
We get it on the
annual
financials
budget.
monthly, but that spreadsheet that Ryan had up that had the columns of indirect costs year after year after year, if there was just dropped in another column that said, and actual allocation, not indirect allocation, but the actual
I
allocation.
think that's doable. It sounds to me like you're saying two rows, indirect.
Well, or
and
just
then-
side by side,
and then
columns. I'm saying
then-
columns.
Columns with a 5-year history.
Right.
I think that's doable, isn't it?
Yeah.
No problem. In fact, I don't think we should have to wait for a month. I
Well,
think
whatever.
you'll probably get an email.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Also, Michael, it may be helpful or beneficial to see those departments. So you've got legal, you've got finance, you've got purchasing. In my mind, I think it would be helpful to actually see their overall budget, whether it be general fund or, we don't get a copy of the Blue Book. We don't. So we don't know what finance's annual budget is and what are we of that portion.
What percentage of that?
Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of where I
Ryan's
was
got
going
those.
with Ryan.
He's got a page.
Okay.
There is a page in the book that lists the finance department, and then it lists its destination charges.
Wouldn't
Where-
that be on this report, page 12, line 11, if you went all the way to the far right column total, wouldn't that be each department's
I haven't seen that.
foot in total?
Ryan, would you?
If you go up to that last column where it says total,
And my question on that is that the amount that's being allocated for reimbursement
across all
from all the
departments.
departments, or is that the full department budget? And I think it may be just what's allocated.
I'm
Show
sorry.
you the page I'm talking about in the agenda packet.
This
And the
one,
agenda package, okay?
It was.
Page 12.
Page 12 of the Burso report prepared by MGT, the total column, far right column, that totals 14.7 million.
Right, that's the total cost that were allocated from
That's
all.
the total allocated cost, not the total cost of each department.
right.
Right. So of all of the basically general fund departments, that's the cost, the total cost allocated was 14 million.
How are the rest of those costs being paid for?
Well, then the subsequent pages show you where that 14 million was.
No.
Oh, how are they being paid for?
Yeah, I get,
The rest of the cost. This
well-
is what's being allocated.
Right.
So how is the rest of the finance department budget being funded? And with direct cost, I'm assuming that would be the general fund, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, the finance department, the total budget would be allocated across with the exception of the amounts that we pay to the appraisal district for property tax collections and assessments. So
Can you give us a ballpark idea of the finance department budget?
the finance department budget is
Maybe we should have Jonathan up here for the pop quiz.
about
segment.
2.4, 2.6, and of that 2.6, the amount allocated,
It's 1.2,
yeah,
1.3, yeah.
1.3.
And that other segment is mostly payments to the appraisal district?
yes, it's primarily costs that the finance department incurs that aren't allocable to the different departments, like the Tom Green County assessment.
Well, since we're talking on it, how much do we pay the appraisal district on an annual basis, ballpark?
About $1 million. Is that
$1 million for the service?
over
they
$1 million now.
1.1.
Okay,
I guess, insurance is one of the greatest cost, health insurance, and it's not allocated, so I think, but there is an allocation for some HR services and employee benefits. So is insurance now a direct allocation to each department based on actual cost?
Health insurance?
Yeah.
Be part of payroll.
Which is not allocated. That's a direct, see, that's where
That's
what's missing from the
not-
spreadsheet
it's
are the
not-
direct costs.
It's both. For them, it's direct. For him,
Right.
it's in the indirect cost. So to the extent that you have employees which perform all their work for you, it's a direct cost. But it is a piece of the
Of
cost.
his indirect.
It's a
Exactly.
benefit portion of ours, yeah.
Right.
so,
Great questions. Keep them coming. This is exactly the kind of conversation we need to have.
okay, so just to go back, you've got this company that's doing this analysis for you guys. Do you specify the amounts within the departments that are eligible for allocation? So, in other words, in this finance department, this 1.3 million that was allocated across the departments, does the city provide that number to the consulting group to allocate, or is part of the analysis the company looking at the amounts that are reimbursable? And you have, like,
I do. The theory is, who does the expense serve?
right,
And so, like the appraisal district we just talked about, that serves the general fund.
right.
Does not serve COSA DC, does not serve the water fund. Go ahead.
Correct. And so what we provide is, we provide the full budget to the consultant,
Okay,
for the whole city. And what they do is we share with them cost centers or cost
Yeah.
types that should not be allocated to, like Michael said, like to the water fund, to the COSA DC, and they exclude those costs out of their allocation amount.
okay.
Yeah, going back to kind of what I said, I guess I'm just trying to simplify it to say, finance budget's 1.2, we pay 120, it's roughly 10%.
10%, yeah.
And then just kind of go, what's purchasing's overall budget? We pay roughly 8% of their overall budget. That helps me to digest this.
Okay.
But I think this is a great study, like Michael had talked about. At one point, perception was it was just some arbitrary number that was tossed out in the budget. And so to attach facts and financials,
It's far from it.
yeah, to show where this is coming from is great transparency, and just appreciate you guys bringing
Okay.
that to us.
Yeah,
I think the root of the whole process was initially tied to, well, I don't know that. There is a process that you must follow in order to allocate administrative costs to federal grants.
right.
And so we do a full cost allocation. Do we still do full cost allocation, then an OMB eligible allocation?
They provide 2 studies to us annually.
Wow.
Ryan, don't run away yet. Do we have any other questions?
Now, this is one of those things, complex item, you're gonna think of it later, make a note.
Yep.
And we can come back to it, absolutely. And
Okay.
Okay, Ryan, go away.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Let's go down to agenda item F and bring that forward. We have some guests in the room that would like to talk about item F. It's an updated presentation regarding the completion of the Kirby Park splash pad, presented by Michael Dane, of course, but we also have Matt Lewis will be helping with this presentation, as will Alicia Olshansky. Will you please come forward?
Please, y'all, please do come forward. My role is simply to introduce the item and give you a clue that I believe that between Alicia and Matt, we're going to hear some good news and solid performance.
Well, a couple of years ago, Alicia approached City Council and approached the Area Foundation, and Alicia, and you see Jeff here with Altex Irrigation, said, we want to build splash pads for our community. We'll raise the money and do it. And the council said, sure, if you can raise the money, do it. And they came to us and said, can we be the fiscal agent and accept donations? And we said, sure. And, you know, about 1 out of every 2 of these special projects don't make it because everybody's full of great ideas, but sometimes not enough follow through or there's not enough public support. But they've never met Alicia. And Alicia just hit the ground running, and it wouldn't have happened without the Altex group. Jeff, thank you, and that whole organization. They stepped up and wrote the first check of $100,000 and said, we believe in this. We want to make this a gift to our community to have 2 splash pads. Other communities have splash pads that have been baked into bond elections, part of the budget, part of, quality of life. Sometimes those are funded by foundations, but Alicia went on the task of raising the money. And within a year, the first splash pad was completed at Unidad Park last summer. Thank you. And then kept raising money, and she came before this body. I was not a part of that body back last year to say, hey, we're getting almost there, and it is allowed under one of the ballot initiatives, and y'all voted to do $150,000. And it was contingent upon that would be the last dollars in, and if all the money wasn't spent, any of it would be returned. I'm happy to announce here's a check that we need to put Alicia in charge of building community projects because she brought it in under budget. And so per that agreement, Michael, I have a check, or Ryan probably wants it, as a...
You think she'd be willing to manage the Coliseum project for us?
For a fee, I'm sure. This was all volunteer. Altex didn't take anything out of this. They put money into the project. We've got a complete report. We've already sent it over to Michael Dane and Brandon. It's a completed project, and we've turned it over full ownership and operation to the city. It's a gift to the city. But part of that, $150,000 was available to help finish the Kirby Park project. There was $19,625.64 will be coming back to Costa DC for unused funds. We've got some pictures, I think, Nora, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Altex and especially to Alicia, because this project simply would not have happened, and it happened in 2 years. Have y'all ever heard of a project that said we're going to start, and then it actually phase 1 is finished in a year and phase 2 is finished the next year? That's what the great community we live in. And Alicia, I appreciate you, and Jeff, thank you. Go.
Okay, first of all, my apologies. They did send us pictures, and between the 2 of us, we overlooked that. But I am going to send you the pictures because those pictures are wonderful.
I was going to say, just know the pictures are really great.
They are, and my apologies for that.
It's all right. It's all
We'll
right.
let it slide this time. Ultimately, we just want to say thank y'all. Like I said, y'all, between the committee here, y'all did help produce it and, finalize it. The last stretch was probably the hardest. You've all your resources have been exhausted. You're asking for money here, you're asking for money there. I hate asking for money. I'd rather earn money. Asking for it is very difficult. Alicia was a big part of that in grants and fundraising, reaching out to the community. She did all the legwork. I did kind of the hustling in the background. I don't know, like I said, it's nice that we can bring that money back to the community. Hopefully that $19,000 can also be allocated to something else, or maybe even the start of a new project one day of another splash pad, who knows? But understanding that we did our due diligence, y'all asked us to respect your money, and that's what we did. So, and we did it with a lot of other people. There was a lot of other people involved with this besides Altex. There was a lot of donors. It was over 100+ donors stepped up to make this happen. Like I said, it's pretty unreal to me. And like Alicia was she was the motor. She kept everything running for sure. You got anything to say?
No. Does anybody have any questions about the project or any more?
What was the total cost of the two projects, or
Combine the two projects?
So when we first did the budgeting, our total project was estimated to come out to be 900,000, so just shy of $1 million. And we had over 800,000 collected monetary donations through businesses, individuals, and grants. And then we had over 150,000 in-kind donations. A smaller portion of that was advertising, though that did make a large impact. But a huge part of the in-kind was through project materials and labor. And that was all done by local businesses.
Yeah, I would like to state, we used everybody local as best we could. I mean, the manufacturer of the equipment, once we couldn't use, and then their licensed contractor. But we insisted when the licensed contractor showed up, he's used to bringing in material from Dallas, Fort Worth, wherever it may be, and we insisted on don't bring any material outside of San Angelo to us. And so we between Altex, Angelo Plumbing, we tried to keep we did, like, as best as we could. We kept everything local. And I'd like to harp on that a little bit with the city of San Angelo as well, to try to stay local. Because it's local guys that made this happen, and we should shop local, guaranteed.
Yeah, local businesses provided, I've got a detailed budget breakdown if you'd like that, but over $150,000 of in-kind, real in-kind contribution by locals to this project. That's not counting, there were a lot of those businesses gave in-kind and wrote a check.
Correct, yeah. And then as well as Altex, with a cash flow of 100,000 is one thing, but I got days on end paying employees, hauling materials over there and lining up things to do and being on the job site to make sure it was done in a timely manner. We knocked these, on one part, we knocked it out roughly in 2 weeks. When it was go time and we had all the stuff accomplished with the city, and it was go time. Like, we're not stopping, we're not slowing down. We got to get this over with because I got a business to run. So ultimately, we accomplished that stuff very quickly when it was game time. So it all went really smooth. And once again, thanks to the committee here for allowing us to do that.
Again, a big shout out to Altex and Alicia and Jeff. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Good y'all.
We appreciate your passion and your muscle behind it. All right,
Thank
so
you,
let's
Matt, for
move
your part
then
also.
to agenda item B, update presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding affordable housing assistance for needed repairs to damage resulting from the July 4th, 2025 flooding of properties located within the designated flood area. Presentation by Stephanie Hamby, who is the Executive Director of Galilee CDC, and there she is.
Good morning. All right, so last time we said we would come to you with some information on how we estimate spending this money. So we talked about last time, you approved $183,000 to come before the 60 days was up because it was coming from a different fund, more for the front end work of things, roofs, plumbing, gas, sewer lines, those kinds of things. All this work that needs to be done prior to us actually sheetrocking and getting inside the house and getting work done. So talking with some of my staff and the assessors that have been out there, we really don't, it's hard to tell. Every house is different. Every house, we find something new we didn't expect to find. So we just split it in half. Is that we estimate front end work is going to maybe spend $450 in the finish work, which is everything that comes out, which will be the end, getting the house tied up. The last money comes in. I expect the front end to be lower than this, but as we're still doing assessments and still trying to get out there, we really don't know. And then we did put 10% towards direct and indirect costs just to pay the staff and everybody out doing all this work, and everybody just in our office. pitching in and doing and taking over flood. This probably takes up at least 50% of our day, every day. So it's a lot on the staff, but they're doing great, and they love to serve this community. So they're doing a good job. To date, we have had 10 applicants that are working on front-end stuff. We've had 7 roofs identified and are working on getting replaced. 2 bathrooms had to be completely redone. When they were gutted, the whole bathroom came out. So we had to go in and replace them because they didn't have a functioning bathroom in those homes. So now we were able to get them out of hotels and back into their homes by replacing bathrooms. And then we've had 1 plumbing issue. We've had a couple other issues. We did have 1 applicant that was flooring. He had already had a contractor in, so this was his end of kind of construction thing. So we purchased his flooring for him to get that tied up so that his house was done. We're estimating an average of $15,000 of COSA-DC funds per household, which would give us, I believe, 60 households. Most are going to come in under that, so we should be able to serve more than 60 households with this funding. And I think that's all I had.
We understand, of course, that these, if you'll excuse my description, these dollar amounts are fluid.
Yes.
And so you're not holding yourself to those exact dollars,
Correct.
able to move them from item to item.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think's, what kind of time frame do you expect to be working with to kind of get through I know there's, the tail end is probably long, but to kind of push the bulk of the work through this process?
My goal, so people come in and they tell us, you know, they have experience in floods and stuff like that. They say anywhere from 2 to 5 years. I do not want to be working on this 5 years from now. I'm not even sure I want to be doing this 2 years from now. So our goal is 12 to 18 months to have the bulk of it pushed through here and to be really, you know, obviously there are houses we've identified that it just doesn't make sense to put a lot of money into repairing them. We're just going to have to almost tear them down and rebuild them, and we haven't figured out how we're going to do that one yet. But so some of that, the longer projects, like an entire house rebuild, is going to take us some time. But most of it, I want to say 12 to 18 months is our goal.
Okay.
And these funds are only being used toward those households that qualify as low income.
Yes, so we have put together an application packet, so we verify their income, and they own the home and all that. And they're under 80% of HUD's income limit, which is the requirement.
And the public, you know, if they're watching this or reading the transcript, if they want to participate, they need to ask, because y'all don't beat on someone's door saying, we're here to help you. They do need to raise their hand and say, I'm looking for help. Do I qualify for help? And the best way to do that is the Community Action Agency has got an intake form that we're all participating and we're all sharing and pointing impacted households to. And that intake form is then, okay, they meet this qualification, this gets to Stephanie. You know, they may be eligible for other assistance. Those caseworkers are also helping people through the FEMA process if there's appeals or need additional information. In other words, there's caseworkers helping that are helping feed that. And if someone doesn't qualify, Stephanie Galilee is also helping folks that maybe they're above that income number. We've got other dollars that we're trying to make sure we're helping everyone. The goal is to get everyone safe, secure, and in a sanitary situation as soon as possible.
Yes, and we do have that needs assessment on our website as well. So anytime we get the needs assessment, it comes in, we send assessors out to the house, and they go and they do a house assessment for us, and they calculate how much sheetrock, how much flooring, all the things that need to be done in the house. A lot of HVAC is getting done as well. So, and then if it triggers something that we think could be used under COSA-DC, then we have them come in and fill out the full application for the COSA-DC funds. And as long as they qualify for that, then we pay for that contractor out of that fund. And then move to the next step of the house for that.
what is the ballpark income cutoff? Or, I mean, is it complicated, or is it just?
No. It's done by household size, so most of them are probably two-family households, so I think it's a little over $42,000 is the max they can have in order for us to be under 80% of HUD. So it's fairly high, and a lot of the homes that we work in are older people who are on Social Security retirement, so they easily meet it.
Two-family households or two-income households?
Two-person households.
Two-person. Okay.
Yes, so it counts the number of people residing in the home.
Okay. So if it's a couple, it'd be 42,000?
Yeah, if it's a family of four, it's, I think, 54,000.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
At some point, we should probably turn Travis's question into a statement and develop an end to this. I don't think we're anywhere near that, but depending on the demand curve at some point, and match that up with what the Area Foundation is doing also.
Well, we're part of the long-term recovery group, which Stephanie is a part of, which a lot of nonprofit organizations in our community, as well as governmental organizations, we're all voluntarily together. We're meeting weekly. Where are we? What are we doing? How are we getting there? I mean, so, you know, and those are quick and dirty, get back to work. And oh, by the way, every organization that's participating, not a one of us have that as part of our job description, is to do disaster recovery and manage that. So the community has really stepped up. And when we've met with the FEMA and the Texas Department of Emergency Management, you know, they're holding up Angelo as the poster child for the way it was done right. We really were getting together ahead of time and planning for disaster. Whenever we did a mock disaster earlier this year, guess what it was for? A flood. You know, thinking we wouldn't be, you know, if we planned really well, we wouldn't have to respond. So here we are responding. But this long-term recovery group, that is the community partners that are all pitching in, that are all helping. We've got a tremendous amount of, Stephanie is also coordinating visiting out-of-town organizations that are coming in, because if Samaritan's Purse is helping with this house and they're working on it, well, then let's move to the next house. And there's a lot of coordinating of this. Sheer numbers, this will blow you away. We were looking at some FEMA numbers. There's 1,854 verified FEMA locations in Tom Green County. 1,854. If you look at the 10 counties that are FEMA declared, that includes Kerr County, Travis County, Williamson County, Burnett County, Kimball, Mason, McCullough, Tom Green. We've got 48% of the damage in Tom Green County, almost more than everybody else put together. Now, if you're in Kerr County, they had unimaginable loss of life. We all know that. A lot of business property impacted in Kerr. If you think about a camp or an RV, you know, the stores, everything, you know, there was, so they've gotten tremendous damage. But houses, it's Tom Green County. So we've got, I would love to see this done quick, and I think we're moving as quick as we can. The reality is, it is going to be, rebuilding homes takes a while. Cobbling together the money. The maximum amount FEMA will give you, is $44,000. So I don't know, you look at your home, and if you were living up there and it was totaled, how far could you get? So we're all figuring out how to cobble it together, and we're helping our families as much as we can, as fast as we can. And I appreciate, Stephanie, very much what you're doing.
You bet. We enjoy it. Any other questions? Okay. Are we good then for the most part? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Housekeeping question. When will we have a contract official after the 60-day period, isn't that later this month? And we can do a contract?
That's what I was about to add. So we've already done an amendment to the contract to allow for the immediate use of the 183,000. So that's done. So the next amendment I would do would be to include this portion of it along with those admin costs that hadn't been considered until today. So I think you've already taken action to approve the project and allow the president to negotiate and execute. So unless there's any serious objections, that's kind of how I'll proceed on that.
You guys all right with that? All right. I'm probably late in asking this question. These items on today's agenda, almost to an item, are information only, no action. But do we have public comment registered for any of these? All right, so we'll just keep moving in. All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Next is an update and discussion, possible action regarding the project for damage repairs needed as a result of the July 4th, 2025 flooding to businesses located in the designated flood area. And Desiree Johnson is here with ASU SBDC. If she's not here,
Yes, hello, board. My name is Elizabeth Dantzler. I'm actually representing Desiree. I'm one of the certified business advisors at the ASU Small Business Development Center. She wants to send her regards. She's unfortunately ill today. So you get me instead, and I hope that's okay.
also at the podium is Michael Looney with the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'll just get started. She wanted me to share a little bit of statistics on the flood outreach that our office specifically was able to assist with, as well as the Business Recovery Center that's located in the second floor of the BRC. So SBA physical disaster loans are actually extended until September 28th. So the original deadline was September 4th. So we are happy that they have allowed that extension till the end of the month. And that's for physical disaster loans. So the economic disaster injury loans, also known as EIDL loans, are actually available until April 6th of 2026. So we've really been focusing on working with business owners on the physical side, and then just continuing that support with them once we have additional economic injury pop up. And then those will help cover any payroll or working capital that they might need in the meantime. So our SBDC team, there are 4 advisors. In the very first week after the disaster, we had 34 incoming calls. And then we also did outreach. So a combination of businesses that filled out the ISTAT report, as well as just our clients, current clients of the SBDC that we were able to identify within the flood zones. That totaled 59 assisted, and then our SBDC clients, 32 supported. We're happy that 10 of our clients through our assistance have actually received grant awards alongside some business loans as well. The Disaster Recovery Center specifically has assisted 55 business owners, and so we're really excited about that number. And then I just want to highlight the marketing efforts. We're very, very thankful for Brian, as well as, Mike's team at the Chamber, coming together, all of us supporting that marketing outreach through targeted social media, email campaigns, going on the news. So that's been a really good response that we've seen. Within our service area specifically, we serve 10 counties in Texas. Tom Green is one of them. We had a few other that were affected by the flood, so that included Menard and Kimball, Mason. That's our territories as well. And so outside of just the statistics of us calling within Tom Green, all of our advisors also did rural outreach. And so that meant we were traveling to our areas. We met with the judges, the city managers, bankers, anyone that we could, sharing information about the grant and loan programs that were available. We saw great success from that as well. So boots on the ground, making outreach calls. And then I specifically was able to go to a panel. I met with the deputy administrator of the SBA, as well as the administrator of the Office of Development and Recovery from the SBA. So they did a roundtable in Kerr County. So I was excited to represent Tom Green County and San Angelo specifically within that meeting, and really give the SBA feedback on how that process went, what was going on in our areas, and provide that update. So any questions for us? Okay, we're here to continue supporting business owners as they are now in their recovery and rebuilding phase for the next few months. Thank you.
Mike, I feel fairly certain you have something to add.
Michael Looney, I'm the VP of Economic Development with the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce. Since the floods affected San Angelo, our department went into action on doing direct outreach to industrial and commercial operations all along the flood zone. We utilized 2 topographical maps that showed the flood channels, mainly running from Sideview Road, which is in the county, but it is also in the San Angelo ETJ, extraterritorial jurisdiction. Toured companies all along that route, all the way down to about the midpoint of Bell Street, where we started to notice that companies had all started reporting that they had absolutely no flood damage. So we've continued to engage with these local businesses. We have so far visited with, we think, a very, very complete batch of companies, and this is 47 industrial operations have been surveyed with site visits and calls, 10 of which sustained damage, which I reported on the last time we were here. At this point, we have been engaging now with Mike Dane and Bob Schneeman and Nora on using the potential use of DC funds to assist with any recovery needs. And we are now engaged in arranging meetings between these companies, leadership personnel, and our team. And we have our first one scheduled for tomorrow. We are building the schedule so that each company has an opportunity to sit down with us and explain the damage and how the DC funds can be used to help. We found that this has first been a significant morale booster for companies within the city limits and outside the city limits, but within the ETJ. And we've also found kind of what we just heard about from Elizabeth, that the commonly considered funding response opportunities are pretty limited. So we think that this is going to be a way for us to utilize DC funds very effectively. And that concludes my report.
Quick question for you for clarification. This is a personal question as well as a question for our table. Have you been able to advise companies that don't fall within the NAICS codes for direct financial assistance as to where they might receive relief?
Yes.
My company, of course, was on Sideview Road and received a great deal of damage, but we don't fall in any category for financial assistance. Have you been able to advise those companies as well?
Yes, most of those, or all those that are unable to receive any funding from the DC, we have sent over to Matt over at the Area Foundation, the San Angelo Area Foundation. So what we've done is we've basically just divided it up to where if it's a company that is in distress, but the development corporation funds just cannot be utilized for legal reasons, we send them on over to Matt, and Matt and I have met to discuss the tactics on how we disseminate that. So we will hand them over to Matt, and Matt has done a very good job of communicating with these companies and these personnel. I would also say that because of the fact that Matt Lewis and his team have really been thrust to the forefront of a part of this recovery effort, Matt is very skilled at really counseling and empathizing with and understanding not just the physical damage to these companies' plants, but also just the psychological trauma that occurs. And so I was really impressed by that, and that feedback has come back to me too. So there's always some counseling that goes on with these kinds of outreach meetings, but yes, we are sending them on to that. But we're also sending these companies, all of them, over to United Way. which has really basically stepped to the fore as the coordinator of a large portion of the regional response with multiple agencies. And so every week, we're talking to each one of these 10 companies to check in with them and see how they're doing. Most of them are well along with recovery, but some of them are still stalled a bit. And really, it just comes down to why would a company be stalled on that? One, it's because their businesses largely are out of the region, so there's a lot of travel, and they just haven't had time to rebuild the farm, so to speak. And then also some of them have more plentiful spendable dollars than others. And so we're being very mindful of understanding all the different particularities with each company. Yep.
I can affirm for you that Matt and the San Angelo Area Foundation have done an incredible job of reaching out and helping with information, as much information as they have. They have been very generous to share with me and with other companies.
If I could, Rick, if I could share also with what the SBDC and the SBA have been doing, we have set aside and we've actually funded an organization that specializes in addressing businesses that have been impacted by the flooding. It's called Lift Fund. So if you Google Lift Fund, LIFTFUND, and they've already got the links working. We're testing it. I was hoping I could announce it officially today, so it's unofficially, but the money's there. It's operating. The challenge is if you click on it and go to it, it says the Hill Country Flood Relief Program, because they have been doing the Hill Country Flood Relief Program in Kirk County. And that has been funded by donors in the Hill Country. We're copying that and going to have a San Angelo area flood relief for businesses. And it will be grants to businesses up to $10,000 and 0% interest loans up to $50,000. Lift Fund handles the whole application process. They have a matrix to determine based on, however they're doing their determination and looking at what some of the SBA rules are of what you're eligible for. Not everybody's going to get the full grant or the full loan amount. It all has to depend upon your financials and your loss, et cetera. But Lift Fund is doing that. As soon as we get the right link that doesn't say Hill Country, it says San Angelo, you could actually go to the Hill Country link and fill it out. And they're behind the scenes, they're processing those. That took a while to get all of that done because they've been busy dealing with, as you might imagine, there's been incredible business damage in the Hill Country, but we've been able to get in and do that. So we've already funded $250,000 into the San Angelo Area Business Relief Fund. And I think it's a good mechanism to segue and come alongside what CUSA DC funds are going to be able to help with industrial customers that meet those NICS codes. This will help everyone who doesn't meet that qualification. And it's not limited to the city limits. It's San Angelo area, so it could also be, we will help businesses in Menard or other counties as well.
It's good information. Any other questions on the table?
I have a point to that. So Desiree wanted me to thank you, Matt, for working side by side with her on that effort. The 10 grants that I did mention earlier, those, I think majority of them are through the Lift Fund Hill Country grant. And so what we're able to do is help anyone. So we're here to help any business in our service area, both industrial and ones that don't meet y'all's NAICS code. So to that point where are we sending those folks? Send them to us as well. So we're here through the entire application process as well. So we sit down with them. We understand the Lift Fund grant, and it's because it's going to be modeled after the original Hill Country grant. Our advisors are very aware of that. We have already submitted more than 10 with our clients. That's just the 10 that we have heard back saying yes, and we're able to capture that number. And so going through the application process, going through the financials, creating those, helping them price out exactly how much they need to ask for. And the majority of them were able to get that full 10,000. And so we're here to support that. We're very thankful for that partnership as well. And I know we're all here to support businesses. So thank you.
It's what I love about San Angelo is that every time you turn around, there's a hand holding another hand and helping out in those kinds of ways. Anything else, sir?
Yes, I would like to add anecdotally that there were 2 companies of our 10 that, because of the collective recovery effort and outreach, have elected to rebuild and stay in San Angelo. There were 2 that somewhat emotionally told me 4 weeks ago they were out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is looking at land in the industrial park. It's very interesting there. If you look at the topo maps and you do flood overlays for 500-year floods, there is an ancient riverbed that runs basically from Sideview Road along the Bell Street corridor. It's very shallow and it's very wide and it moves very fast. It's extremely rare, but I did see one business. We walked their land, and the soil had been excavated, and there is a 12-foot by 20-foot canyon that is very smooth rock, because it long time ago had been a river channel, and it runs right through the middle of town, all the way from north to south. It's absolutely amazing. And those companies, the companies on this 10 list were all within probably right next to or within about 100 feet of that river channel. So at least we knew kind of how to look for companies, So anyway, thank you.
Well, we've got some businesses in town that will need to change their names from 3 Rivers to 4.
I think they'd rather just stay.
Yeah. All right. Any other comment or question regarding those topics? We'll move on to the business plan competition, and Nora has an update for us along with the SBDC.
Good morning, Board. Nora Navarez, Economic Development Coordinator. Ms. Elizabeth is here with me as well. So as we're going through the business plan competition right now, we received 37 entries, and what was due on August 8th was a 2-page business overview and their entry form. So we selected 6 to proceed to phase 2. So currently, right now, they're working with SBDC, and yesterday, Desiree and I did a Zoom meeting with those 6 finalists and reviewed the agreement that we have those winners. We like to do that so that we can prepare them to what to expect once they've been awarded, and then also give them a little peek as to what entails in that agreement. And we don't try to make the review that they have to provide annually. The annual report that they provide us is just for 2 years. And so I try to make that as simple as possible for them, so that way they can continue focusing on their business. So I'm going to let Ms. Elizabeth here speak about the students that will be working with them.
Thank you. So in phase 2, what that looks like, if you, just as a little refresher, so our certified business advisors are paired with one of those businesses, and also with a student from Angelo State University, Norris Vincent College of Business. So that is a partnership program, and those students, we have 2 that are in their graduate degree, so both are pursuing their MBA, and then we have 3 undergraduate students pursuing a business degree. And then those are paired with an advisor, and they work kind of as a student advisor underneath the tutelage of our certified business advisors, and that creates a team for that client. And so we're working one-on-one with them for the next 2 months to put together their full business plan, years of projections. So that includes a cash flow projection and profit and loss projections, and their live pitch presentation. And so those students get real-world experience in their classroom, and every year we hear great remarks from the students. They're going to be seeing projects such as market research, some of that financial data if that's their degree plan, helping write it and craft it and edit the business plan, help with the pitch process, preparing. Of course, the business owners are the ones doing the actual pitch to the judging panel. And so it's just a really great learning opportunity for them, and it's our favorite season, is working side by side. In the competition, of course, it is a very competitive competition when we're talking about the money that y'all have gifted them. And so we're very thankful for that, and we're excited to have the announcement on November 12th. So any questions?
All right, thank
Okay,
you for
thank you.
your help today. Next is an update, discussion, possible.
Just
Oh, you
one
have one
thing,
more, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
just a little bit. So I wanted to give you a little bit of history. So when we started the competition, we kicked it off back in 2016. And just wanted to share that since 2016 till now, we've actually received 330 entries. Yeah, so I feel that the business plan itself, it helps those individuals that are within our community and help them move their business to that next level, so.
Well, and as you say that, what we need to remember is that there are 31 entries this year
37.
who will not move on to phase two, but have that vital information and learning curve that will help them move on to their business to the next level,
Right.
whether they continue in our competition or not.
Yes. A lot of times, it's always hard that day that we make the announcement. You know, there are those that are disappointed, but they are also encouraged because now not only have they learned more about themselves, but more about their business, and they also appreciate the students that work with them as well. So it's a good opportunity for everyone.
Everybody who enters gets something
Yes.
out of the process.
Yes.
And we always encourage repeat entries. So a lot of times, if you don't move forward one year,
I'm sorry.
Sorry. We always encourage re-entries. So if you don't move forward this year, we encourage you to do it next year. Every year, your business is stronger. You know it better, and so we encourage that. And most of the folks that maybe didn't move forward, we're still working one-on-one with them through our advising team. So.
Very good. May I move forward? All right, okay, so we'll move on to the next agenda item, an update, discussion, and possible action regarding improvements at the San Angelo Business and Industrial Park, including engineering design of phases 2 and 3. Is that 2 and 3 or 2.3? Phase 2.3. Mowing and required maintenance and other potential improvement or design issues. Bob Schneeman will join us at the podium.
Thank you. There's a lot going on at the industrial park, and it's changing day by day. I just got some more information last night that we have another company that's interested in purchasing land out there. As the board, I think, already knows, we have Park Hill Smith and Cooper engineers currently working on the design of what we're calling phase 2.3, which is basically the area along the north property line of the park, and it sort of wraps down around this area. There's a number of changes we're making from the original plan that we think will improve it. And there's also some other things in the works. The city is looking at a new comprehensive plan. That would also include some new, a major thoroughfare plan, which may or may not impact the park. There's some things going on north of the park that may also impact us. So we are proceeding with some of the design the main streets and water and sewer and drainage infrastructure, but some of that may change as we go down the pike. We currently have all of this Block 1 is under contract. We have forthcoming a letter of intent for a portion, about 5 to 10 acres in this area. And then I'm meeting I'm meeting with a company tomorrow that is going to be looking at about 30 acres in this area. Take away the areas that we're using for detention and drainage, what have you. We're going to rapidly run out of land at the industrial park. So in the past, we've talked about phase 3, which is about 300 acres that runs parallel in fronts on FM 380. But I think we're gonna sort of, between our engineers and talking with the city, we're gonna look at what makes sense. Does it still make sense to expand the park in that direction? Or do we maybe start looking at what's going on north of us and see if we can work with the city and do something in that area? Sir?
Had a couple of quick questions. The interest from parties looking to acquire land is not within phase 2.3. Is that correct?
It is not within phase 2.3. That's correct.
Okay. And about how many acres is phase 2.3?
See if I can do this. There's about 30 acres there, 20 acres there, so 50. Most of this area down in this area will be detention pond. And it's going to be tough to get anything usable down in this area right now until we extend the streets and this Monument Drive extension here. Right now, there's a temporary cul-de-sac located here.
Yep.
The extension of this, we can't go beyond that cul-de-sac for fire and for basically fire safety and water sanitation reasons until we get a feel for whether or not that street is going to go turn and go south, or if it may make more sense to carry it on to the east.
Yeah. Okay. So 50
About 50
acres to
yes.
start. Okay. Thank you.
Something else we're looking at out there, this is a picture of one of the main entrance signs. This is the one in front of Principal LED or Principal Sloan. That sign and the one down at the south entrance are becoming extremely faded. This is when it was brand new, but they're really getting faded out. So we're looking at maybe doing something a little different there. These things are expensive. I think just to replace those sign faces is about $40,000 or $50,000. You get into constructing those things,
What's it made of?
That face is just sort of a very thick vinyl that's printed on it. Prior to that, we had tiles on there, and over time the tiles fall off.
Yep.
There's no great answer to it, but one of the things my recommendations are something I'm considering doing something similar to this. This is I'm sure you've all seen it, the Welcome Monument in front of Starbucks. We've already got some foundations out there on where we have the existing monuments that we could probably reuse, and maybe we'd look at doing something like this. I had Al Torres, these are hand-done sketches, but I had Al Torres do these for us, just as a rough idea of what we might be able to do. That's one concept with we just did two of these, one with the logo below the sign, one with it above the sign. My preference right now is maybe leaning towards something lower profile. And maybe it just says Industrial Park with the Costa DC logo.
Can you go back a couple of slides? One more. So I've seen signs that have laser cut steel. Are you familiar
Yes.
with what I'm describing?
I am,
And they appear to be pretty low maintenance. The look of that sign reminds me of
that's what it was
laser
intended
cut
to
steel.
look like, yes.
And I would think that that would be a really cost-effective way to build a
I think it's a
sign.
great idea. And there's a material called Core-10 steel.
Yes.
We've actually used it out at the airport for the
Yeah.
welcome sign out there.
Yes.
It's, I was a kid growing up in Pittsburgh when that came out.
Yep.
And it basically rusts and seals itself, and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, so you could put do like a stucco background and attach
on it.
that
Yeah.
and paint it, and then put the laser cut steel on the face and have a sign that looks very similar to that, that is probably a lot more durable than vinyl.
Yes, I think so. This was sort of a stopgap measure that,
Yeah.
I mean, they lasted close to 10 years, so.
Well, $40,000 for a sign is, I mean, that's
a lot.
crazy. That's a lot of money.
I would think you could replace just the sign piece, not talking about the brickwork and the landscaping and all that, for much less than that, like
Yeah.
less than 10.
Yeah, you could do what I'm describing with what's there.
But just because the frame around it is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like I say, if we change it completely, the footings are still there to build from, so anything that we do is there's already a footing there we can probably
Didn't we
use.
have problems losing some letters off of the sign you showed us in front of Starbucks on North Bryant?
We've had some stolen.
Not exactly lost.
Okay. I thought they just fell off. No, okay. They had some help.
They've had some help.
Okay.
Okay, as far as the signs go, we're early on looking at that, so I'll probably be bringing back some more ideas. But that's kind of where we are industrial park-wise right now. The only other thing going on out there is we have a contractor who is going to be mowing, getting rid of the weeds, and also we've got some real low-growth mesquites that are coming back after we cleared it 3 years ago. So it's time to get those out and do some mowing, clean it up.
You mentioned that Park Hill is working on this phase 2.3. Can you describe it? Are they doing? Are you replatting that area? Or are they doing stormwater? What?
Yes, we'll have to do a new subdivision plat anyway. We'll have to revise the preliminary plat, and then maybe back up just a skosh here. This actually depicts pretty much what is platted out there right now.
Yes.
So we would need to replat to change this street configuration to a T intersection, which we intend to do, to move this drainage area down here. There's a replat involved in it, but it's all part of the $275,000 contract that we have with them to do that.
Okay. And then does the replat allow flexibility with subdividing this area? In other words, if you have a user of 10 acres, can they buy 2 tracts of 5
that's why you don't
assemble without having to go through?
Yeah, that's why you don't see lots up designated up here. No matter how we subdivide it, somebody's going to want to do something different.
Yep.
So to my way of thinking, anything that we do lot-wise, we may do it. We do it conceptually.
Yes.
But we don't lock ourselves into it.
And then what's the time frame for Park Hill to complete the work?
Probably about 6 months.
6 months, okay. Okay.
Are our plans to solicit from some local sign companies ideas and cost estimates?
Yes. And I'm going to try to work with Al Torres a little bit more, maybe get some front-end ideas, and then say, these are kind of the areas that we'd like to look at. or concepts we'd like to look at, and then kind of turn it over to them, let them say, okay, this is what we think you should do. Let the people who do that for a living, let us know what they think we need.
Might make sense to get Principal Sloan to weigh in on that, since they build signs and lighting and all.
Provide a
that
lot
sort
of
thing.
lighting to sign companies,
Yeah.
they do.
The stuff that we have out there now is not technically, it basically is not lit. We had some solar panels out there on a couple of them, and some solar lights. Early on, the solar panels and batteries from at the South End Monument were stolen. So there's a nice pole out there, stainless steel pole with nothing else connected to it. So yeah, that's another thing. Vandalism is something else we got to look at.
I think you've kind of touched on this, but I'm a really big fan of durable signage.
Yes.
Something that doesn't require a lot of maintenance, doesn't have to be replaced every 5 or 10 years. In my experience, vinyl in this market isn't going to last very long. The sun's just going to beat it to death.
Yeah. The two that face basically south or southwest.
Yes.
Have really faded.
Yeah.
The one that faces more northwest hasn't faded much at all.
Durability is one of the key features of what Al developed.
Yeah.
The other thing that impairs durability is including the current logo, because as soon as we update our logo, the sign has to be changed. And so, would you move forward to that rock?
Can we exclude that logo?
Pardon me?
Can we exclude the logo?
I think we should.
Just simplify.
Exactly. Exclude the logo. That's consistent with what we've done. It is durable.
Yeah.
And if we use some special material like the laser cut steel on a rock background, we plug some maybe not low end solar lights to light it up, but something that's a little bit durable.
Yep.
Then and plant something that doesn't require an irrigation system. Then.
Now, I do know that, of course, this one includes underground electrical, irrigation, and landscaping. It was about $100,000 for that.
I don't think we need to spend that kind of money on the signage for the business part, but
the sign needs to look decent.
It does. It does need to look good.
So we'd like to do
Clean,
this,
simple,
but
durable.
less expensive.
Yeah, super durable.
And super durable, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Any other advice for Bob? Okay, thank you,
Find
Bob.
another job, because I'm not good at this one.
No, not of course not. You touched on the mowing and grubbing
Yes,
that's
sir.
going to be done out there. Does the expense involved in that fall under our limit of?
We already have that contract in process.
All right.
There's no board action on that is required.
Okay.
It's within the director's.
That's my
purview.
question. All right. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
We'll move into executive session under the provision of Government Code Title 5, Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meeting, Subchapter D, Exceptions to Requirement that meetings be open under the following sections. Sections 551.087, Business Prospect Negotiations regarding Allen's Transport, Long Industries, Pitts Fabrication, Permian Radiator, and Tricor Steel. We are now in executive session. It is 10 o'clock, 10:03. Do we need to take a 3-minute break? My mic just lit up, so I assume we are. Consideration and possible action of items discussed in closed session. If needed, there are none. Announcement and consideration of future agenda items. None so far. Do we have any that we'd like to add to the future agenda?
Mike touched on the field trip idea. I'd love to go see some of those things sometime after this meeting or whatever.
Idea where you'd like to go?
No, I mean, he mentioned several, I'd just like to get a visual on some of it. When I came on this, Bob toured me around all those, and you get a lot better feel for what it is when you see it. And, these companies that we talk about, it'd be neat to see what they're actually up to.
Okay.
Has there been any work done out at the airport since last we toured that place?
We set up for wherever y'all want to go. You said Allen's is probably worth looking at? Yeah. Is that something the board might be interested in? Why don't we maybe try to come up with a tour sort of route for the next meeting, and we'll see what y'all think about it. That'd be great. And, yeah.
All right.
And anytime anybody wants to go on, just say, hey, I'd like to go out and see this or that or the other thing, give me a holler.
The airport, they're getting close to letting the contract on the South Taxi Lane project.
Okay.
That's an exciting development.
They got the pavement figured out?
They do.
That's good.
Yes, very exciting. I do have a question about a possible future agenda item. Matt and I talked about a possible item related to this check. Do you still have the idea that you'd like to discuss with the board?
I asked Mike whenever I said, you want this check back, or do you want to set up a fund that would help maintain, it would go to the Parks and Rec is responsible for maintaining the splash pads. They cooked it into their budget. It comes out of the general fund allocation plus overhead, or whatever we're calling indirect. I love all that. But at the end of the day, it was like, it's just easier to return it, and
the contract.
I don't know if we want, as Coast DC, to start funding city operations for parks. I would rather see, because the ballot allows us to do, if the board approves, a park project, but not maintenance, and we don't want to have to open that back up. So after we talked,
okay,
I don't think it's worth.
I will say
I don't want to unravel that little Pandora's box. So
that the whole project in general, I think, was a tremendous success. People who wanted to participate participated. The people who were doing the project got it done for what they said they could do it for, and so. While we don't need to make any kind of an official designation, I think if we can store that seed up here and keep in mind that we won't be ready when another public-private partnership opportunity comes along, it is just to get those kind of improvements done. They tell me that the splash pads are very popular. And so if we can just store that in our memory, that when somebody else comes along with a viable public-private partnership, we ought to, because this one, I think, is a home run. Small project, big hit.
There's an item I'd like to add to a future agenda, and possibly the next one. I'm concerned about some of the things I'm hearing about Goodfellow and the possible reassignment and realignment that might happen at Goodfellow. I'd love for us to explore how we might be able to assist Goodfellow with some of their objectives, so that we continue to stay interested in that partnership with Goodfellow. So I don't know exactly how to put that, but I'd like for us to explore how we assist Goodfellow with their mission.
I think in the last couple of months, we've heard information out of the chamber about restarting a Goodfellow Booster Club, and I think being a partner in that would be a good idea. And so, Steve, would you be all right giving us an update on that? And
All right.
We'll do it.
All right, so we'll add that to the next agenda. Anything else that you want to add to our discussions? With a board as strong as this one is, I want us to be, I want us to exercise. I want us to move forward instead of just managing things as they come to us. So if you have dreams and ideas and visions, let's talk about them. Okay, all right. Seeing no other business, I will entertain a motion to.
Motion to adjourn.
Quick reminder that all Costa DC meetings are broadcast on Channel 17 Government Access at 8 a.m. every Wednesday. After each meeting, our next meeting is scheduled for October 8th at 8:30 a.m. here in the East Mezzanine at City Hall at 72 West College Avenue. We have a motion and a second. If you're in favor of approving adjournment, say bye. Bye. If not, say nay, and it is done. The meeting is adjourned.